Hey guys, it's Sammy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my December wrap up. In December I read 8 books. So my reading month was really crazy actually because I read 3 books that I absolutely adored enough to put on my favorites list, but then the rest of the books I read were not my favorite. So it was kind of a toss-up for me. But overall, I had a great reading month. I mean, 8 books, that's insane. And also, if you stay tuned to the end of this video, I'm going to be discussing the new thing I'm going to be doing in every wrap-up, which is picking a book out of my TBR jar, which has all the books I haven't read on my shelf yet. And I'll pick one up and I will attempt to read it in the next month being January. And I think it's going to be really fun and I'm excited to pick a book. So, without further ado, let's get into the wrap-up. Okay, so the first book I finished in the month of December was Fracture Me by Tahereh Mafi. I read this as an ebook. It is the second novella bind-up, but the 2.5 book. It's the book between the second one and the third one in the trilogy. It is told in Adam's perspective, and it's basically Adam's perspective of the last book, Unravel Me, like the very end. And I didn't enjoy it that much. I gave it 3 stars because I love Tahereh Mafi's writing, and I love that story in general, but I didn't think it added anything to the story itself, so I didn't really enjoy it that much. Plus, I don't really like Adam as a character. I liked it enough, it wasn't one of the books I hated this month. It was just a bridge between Unravel Me and Ignite Me, and that's basically all it was. It was just more time in the world, and I enjoyed it just enough. The next book I finished in December was The Astronomer's Wife by Kay Boyle. I read it in this behemoth of a book. It is an anthology I have for my AP Literature class. The Astronomer's Wife was one of the books that I did not like in December. It was interesting. I didn't understand it, to be completely honest. Okay, so here's the thing about December. I read a lot of short stories and I added them to my Goodreads goal, even though they really shouldn't have been added. This book I think was 4 pages long, and I don't think it belonged, but I added it anyway because I really was getting desperate about reaching my Goodreads goal, and my reading kind of took a back burner because I was so focused on finishing the goal and getting to 50 books. I started adding these literal shit books to my Goodreads goal. So I added this to it. It was something I had to read for my class, and I didn't understand it at all. I gave it 2 stars, even though I shouldn't have given it any stars because I didn't understand it. It's a struggle. I'm thinking about going back and just taking away the star rating, even though I made the book on Goodreads. It wasn't on Goodreads and I was like, I need to add it to my Goodreads goal. I made the book. I made the page for the book. It's literally ridiculous. But anyway, I gave it 2 stars. I think it was supposed to be metaphorical and poetic, but I didn't understand and I didn't care to reread it because I suck. But everything was okay again when I read Ignite Me by Tahereh Mafi, aka one of my favorite books of 2016. I believe this took the 3rd spot. If you want to check out more about my favorite books of 2017, I will link the video up above for you guys to watch. This is the last book in the Shatter Me trilogy by Tahereh Mafi, and it slayed my soul leaps and bounds above the first 2 books. It is literally amazing and no complaints whatsoever. If you want to know more about this, I will link up above my discussion of all 3 of the books, so I hope you guys will check that out. This was amazing, I loved it. The next book I read in the month of December was Finding Aubrey by Sophie Kinsella. This was another one of my favorite books of the year, and it came out of nowhere. I finally got a library card in December, which was once again amazing, go me. But I got a library card so I can listen to audiobooks on Overdrive. This was the first audiobook I saw. I was like, oh, this is on my TBR, let's read it. So I read it on audio and it was freaking amazing. The family dynamic was freaking awesome. The audiobook narrator was awesome. Her accents were perfect and I just really enjoyed it overall. I found it was really fun and I thought it displayed the mental illness that is in it very well. It took it in a light sort of matter, which I know is not right for everyone, but I thought it was done very nicely, and that's just my personal opinion on the topic there. But it was again one of my favorite books of 2016 and I loved it to death, and I think you guys should all check it out, especially on audiobook. I thought it was really, really good, and it's super quick. I think the audiobook was maybe 6 hours. The next book I read was a Wattpad novel, and that was High School Hitless by Author Raz, something like that. I'm not completely sure. But this was a book I was just reading because it looked like a fun plot. The plot's basically about this girl whose best friend has a misfortunate situation with these popular kids in school, and when this friend comes back to school the next year. She tries to get revenge for her friend, and it's like literal trash. The first like good 70% of the book I really enjoyed. Like, it was actually written pretty well for like a Wattpad novel, and I was really enjoying it, even though the plot once again was like really bad, but like whatever. I actually enjoyed the characters, I liked them, but the ending was really bad for me. Like, I did not like it, and the author is currently editing it, and I had read past the editing point where she had not edited it yet, but I don't know if she's gonna like edit the plot. But that was like what really got me at the end. I was like, this seems really rushed, and I didn't like it, so I ended up giving it 3 stars. But like the beginning like was really good, and then it just went downhill very quickly. But I digress. I wouldn't recommend it just because, I mean, like, it's a Wattpad novel, like, you're probably not gonna just pick it up. I read it, and it was added to my Goodreads goal because... why? I don't know. I wanted to meet my goal. Love my life. Okay, let's now talk about my second favorite book of the year that absolutely slayed me, and I'm currently reading the second book now, and it's slaying me more, let me tell you. The second book is like... I think it's better. I think it's better than this one, but that is Illuminating by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. This book is crazy. It is a multimedia sci-fi book that takes place in space. Yeah, it's written beautifully. I loved it, like, a lot. It made it into my favorite books of 2016. Like, there's 3 books that I read in December that made it into my top 10. Like, that's crazy. But anyway, love this book to death. Amazing writing. I was surprised by how much I adored the writing style in this. Written through chat logs, pictures, DMs, like IMs, like instant messaging. It was really, really good. Really good. If you haven't read this yet, you need to read it. Like, if I'm gonna recommend one book to you this year, it's gonna be this one. It really is. Like, this is way, like, not underhyped, but like, read it. The next book I finished in December was A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I had to read this for my AP Lit class, and I actually really enjoyed this. I did give this 5 stars, which was like, what? But I thought it was really fun. I thought it was a good, like, inspiring read, and I have seen all the movies, so I didn't know, like, what this book was about. But I actually did read it all the way through. It was only about 70 pages. Really good, right, light, fluffy read, really. Okay, the last book I read was tragic, like actually tragic. Let's set the scene. It was New Year's Eve. I had to read one more book to meet my Goodreads goal. I knew I wasn't finishing Gemina because I still had like 300 or 400 pages left, and Gemina's a quick read, but like that wasn't happening. I was about to go off to a party. I was like, I need to read something very quickly. So I go into the Wattpad app, I go into the short stories, I look on my like little TBR list. I'm like, this one looks like a good one. I don't know why I thought it was a good one. I'm gonna tell you the title now, and please do not kill me. The story that I read was called 10 Reasons Not to Die by Rice Lover. Literally Rice Lover and 10 Reasons Not to Die. How did I think this was a good idea? I read it in 30 minutes. It was terrible. It's about this girl who's like legitimately about to like jump off a cliff, and this guy like jumps and saves her from not jumping off the cliff. And when they like stop rolling and she's like, why'd you do that? I just wanted to kill myself. He's like, in the next 10 days, I'm gonna give you 10 reasons not to die. And I'm like, why am I reading this? But it was like 6 chapters long, and it took me literally 30 minutes to read. And I read it anyway, even though it was legitimately terrible. It was so bad. Why did I put myself through this? But I added it to my Goodreads goal. I gave it 2 stars. I don't even know why I gave it 2 stars. I should lower it down to 1. It wasn't good. It was written terribly. Like, why did I do this? But I did it, and now it's on my Goodreads forever. Disappointment, honestly. Don't read it. It's not good. Like, don't read trash books just to meet your Goodreads goal. Like, I'm telling you right now, it's not worth your time. Wasn't worth my time. Even though I finished it in 30 minutes. Then I went to my party, and everything was fine until I really sat down and was like, why did I do that? I'm not going to be doing that this year. If I read a Wattpad novel, I really want to read it, and hopefully it won't be trash. And if it is trash, I'm going to DNF it, and I'm not going to include DNF books on my Goodreads goal. I'm going to talk about more about this in my 2017 goals video. Okay, that's all the books I've read. Let's pick a book out of the TBR jar, and let's hope it's not terrible. So, I made a TBR jar. You've probably seen these before, like, around. They've been around for a little while. Basically, you put all the books that you want to read, like, in your TBR, and you put them in a jar, and then you're gonna pick them out, and you're gonna try to read it. So that's what I'm gonna do right now, and then I'm gonna show you what I pick, hopefully my camera's not gonna die. And yeah, let's pick out a book. I have one. What does it say? Oh, it's long. Shadow and Bone? Boy, I approve of this. I approve of this. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you, I refilmed this video because I did a poll on Twitter and people were, and it was really blurry the last video, and I was like, would you watch a blurry video? And they're like, no, and I was like, true, neither would I, but but on the last one I picked a real bad book that I didn't want to read. Like, why do I have these on my shelf? I need to get rid of them. But now I picked a book that I really want to read, and I think this is gonna be great to read now. Like, yes, like I'm all for this. So Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo, which is obviously the first book in the Grisha trilogy, and then after I finish that I can read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, and it's about to be a good ass day, and I'm all for this. So yes, this is something I can get on board with. I am all for this. So let me show it real quick. So this is the book that I will hopefully be reading in the month of January, which is now. So I'm all for this. Yes, let's go. Let's go. Alright, so thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Once again, all my social media links are down below for you guys to check out. Comment down below video suggestions. I should be having a lot of fun videos for the new year coming out soon. And yeah, bye!